Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live. And if Arsenal fans were worried a few days ago about the transfer window, they need not be worried anymore. Andrea Berta is absolutely cooking on gas. What is it, about 5 transfers in, a few out, more outgoings on the way, more incomings, contract extensions. Arsenal fans, you need not worry. You are in good hands. Man United fans, on the other hand, slight concern. The start of the window, there was Mbuemo, there was Cunha, there was links to everyone else. There was even links to Gyökeres. And now they've just still got one in and still working on that. Mbuemo. Very, very interesting. We've got plenty to discuss today, mostly about the Arsenal transfers, but definitely about other transfers elsewhere as well. We're going to be talking about Chelsea in their Club World Cup final win and how Donald Trump tried to change the limelight there, which was a very, very weird experience, I'm sure, for the Chelsea players. Most definitely Cole Palmer. And we're going to be discussing a few other things as well. I'm joined by transfer guru Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good, Kieran. Very well, thank you.
Busy?
Good evening, everybody. Yes, very busy. Too busy. Too busy. too busy. Looking forward to a nice break, but we've got a little while before that yet. So so we've got a lot to talk about tonight with plenty of happening, plenty goings on. And Arsenal fans that are watching, well, they should be happy, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they should. The latest news at Arsenal was that Arsenal had essentially agreed a fee and the structure for Sweden striker Viktor Gyökeres. It's been going back and forth over the last couple of weeks. Although Arsenal fans will make out that things are dragged along, it's the 14th of July and they've done possibly the most business in the Premier League. It was only about 2 weeks ago that the news had come out that Arsenal had spoken to Sporting. Previous to that, it was Arsenal had done a lot with Gyökeres, personal terms, speaking with the striker and whatnot. And then there was the news about Benjamin Sesko and the deals that we're trying to strike with Leipzig. As soon as they put that on the back burner and said Sesko doesn't look like it's happening, Gyökeres was at the forefront of the priority, and that deal was, for me, that's gone pretty quick. People complain and say it's been dragged out, but I just don't feel like it has. We had that little gap the other day where they was separated between a few million, and I think the club said they were going to have a break. Then a couple of days break, went back on the weekend. And by the end of the weekend, I think it was a Sunday, it was all announced that a deal had been struck and Viktor Gyökeres was going to be on his way to Arsenal. See, there's a few more bits that we can discuss on that deal. One of the things that it seems like was the sticking point was the agent fee, which the agent has given up some of his fee to allow the transfer to go through. Also news that Viktor Gyökeres has also taken a bit of a cut in his wages, was it not? He took a cut. The deal go through. This guy wants it big time.
He does, doesn't he? He does. I think it's 1.7 million, wasn't it? I think it was the final amount that was the confirmed amount that he cut, wage cut that he took. So or out of his own money, whatever way it was. But he certainly wanted Arsenal and nobody else, didn't he? Yeah. So look, I mean, you're right. I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, they asked the people were worried. They reckoned that it was, Arsenal were doing slow business. But when you think about it, when you take away the week that wasn't, because we had a week's gap, between that time where, clubs were allowed to we had that sort of extra window, if you like, from the first.
For the Club World Cup.
And then you had a week break after that. You're looking at. Like Arsenal just have had about 6 signings in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's like 2 a week. That's so where the fact that Arsenal is being a bit slow to come from. Although there has been sort of like quite a few one after another over this week and last week. But Yeah, look, he wants Arsenal, doesn't it? I'm getting sort of a look. I mean, we spoke on here, and we both, for quite a long while have preferred Sesko. Probably the better long term option. But the more I think about it, I think if you're looking over the next year or two, maybe 3 years, Gyökeres, I think that's the way Arteta and Bert are looking. I think he's probably the better option. And the more I watch him, the more I see him, the more you hear about how much he wants to play for Arsenal and he wants to prove himself. He's used words like revenge. He wants to come to England and show what he's made of and why clubs didn't take him at the time when he was at Coventry, because apparently there was a few looking at him but didn't want him. So he's coming to Arsenal hungry, and I think it's a great bit of business from Arsenal. I think it's a great bit of business. People were complaining about the Madueke business, which I still think's I think it's a really good signing for Arsenal. But 54 million. Sort of all told, really a little bit of add-ons for Gyökeres. That's the best good business.
That's great business.
That's great business for someone who scored over 100 goals in 2 seasons at any level. I'm talking about. It doesn't matter if it's the Liga. At any level, that is. We've seen him play Champions League as well. That's a great bit of business, and. Andre Berta's definitely doing his stuff, isn't he? So look, great bit of business. 27-year-old, he's in his prime, and hopefully he'll come to Arsenal. He'll hit the ground running, and look, I'm warming to him. I'm getting more and more excited as the time goes on. If I take off my bias then and put my Arsenal hat on, I'm beginning to get more excited. I'm starting to watch more of him recently. People have been sort of saying, well, he can't do this and he isn't doing that. I mean, today I watched, I think it was about 50 goals of his that he scored over the last year and a half, and he looks he looks a killer to me. He looks like he can finish to me. And if he sort of even if it's like a quarter at 3/4 of what he does over there, he's going to be something. Premier League defenses have got something to worry about, and I like it because he's a killer. He's a killer. We need the killer, and he's definitely a killer.
I think what I like about Gyökeres, because my view is not going to change. My preference was Sesko. I'm not really buying into a case where I don't think he would be ready now. I think he would get better, obviously, and there's a higher ceiling, I'd say. But I think the most important thing we needed was someone who has the instinct to go for goal. Whereas Kai Havertz doesn't. He's a midfielder at heart. Like, it's in his head. Like, that's not going to change. He'll get the ball, he'll hold up. He's looking for someone else to bring into, and then he'll play off of the back of that. Whereas if you've got a Sesko, you've got a Gyökeres, their first instinct is to get that ball, turn and go towards goal and try and score a goal. And that's the difference. And that's what I feel like you need. But with Gyökeres, what I do like is I like his tenacity. I like that he's hungry to score goals. He's aggressive. He's strong. He's quick. These are the things that I like about his attributes. He's got that sort of dogged, sort of like a street footballer, someone who just wants to constantly, just going to be scrapping at goals. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. I thought the exactly same thing the other day. Probably, I think it was today. It reminded me of playing football in the pitches when we was teenagers, when you used to get the ball and you just used to run and just barge people out the way and just score. I like that scrappiness about him, and I think that scrappiness will score goals, will get goals, will get opportunities for goals as well. And look, as I've said before, I'm not necessarily looking for the person who's going to score a brace against Liverpool, who's going to score one against Man City. We've got those players that can do that. What I want is the games against Fulham,
the games against West Ham away, the games against Brighton, like Bournemouth away. They're the games that we seem to be struggling to get the goal in. They're Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? They're the games, and I think he can get those goals. We need goals in those games as well, and I think he can get them goals. I think he will score goals no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, don't score that many goals in whatever league you're in, and it not translate at all to another league. And like I said before, when the news came out around about during the season, I think it was still when there was first news. I think it was potentially March. There was first news about Gyökeres, Arsenal sort of moving to Gyökeres. And I was watching the stuff that he was doing in the Championship, and that gave me a little bit more confidence to say, actually, this guy can score goals in the Championship. He can score goals in the Premier League, because the majority of people that can score goals in the Championship and do well in the Championship, it does actually translate half decent to the Premier League. We've seen the likes of Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins score goals. Even players like Pookie score goals from Norwich, and those are teams where players aren't really getting those many opportunities in front of goal. So I have no worries about him getting goals, and I like the way in some of those games against for Coventry, he was fine. He was scoring goals by sitting off the defender, finding gaps in the area. Smart goals, not necessarily goals where you've got plenty of space in behind or hitting teams on the counter. Like, we can do that. He can do that. We know he can do that. It's the goals when people are sitting in deep and the defense is a little bit more crowded. Can you find the pockets of space in the area? Can you get in front of the defence to get a toe on it? They're the sort of goals which I'm hoping he'd be able to get as well, because those are the sort of ones that we're missing out on. And diagonal right into the box as well. We've got wingers. We've got Zubamendi coming in and Ødegaard, and they need players that are going to make those runs. And I think he can do that. So yeah.
I don't think Arteta. No, not. I suppose it's the wrong word to say that he doesn't want him to score 30 goals. Of course, do you know what I mean? You want him to score as many goals as possible. But we know that we've got three players who are capable of scoring over 15 goals themselves in a season. We've seen Martinelli do it. We've seen Saka do it. We've seen Ødegaard do it. We've got Havertz who can do it. You know, so he hasn't got those type of players at Sporting around him. You know, it's just him. You know, who's banging in the goals. So yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see the way we change our style, a bit of play it to suit him a little bit more. It'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's going to be a massive focal point, which is going to allow, you know, players like Ødegaard, like Saka and Martinelli to get behind, or, you know, come in and, you know, and let and score more goals, you know, because they need to score more goals because they didn't score many last season. But when Gyökeres is going to give them just like this extra thing that they need to think about. Do you know what I mean? You know, maybe they won't be able to double up on Saka no more like they did.
Exactly.
You know,
it's those sorts of things.
So it's all things. Yeah.
No, 100% agree. And it's given the other team something to think about. Like with Martinelli, sometimes, yes, his work rate's good. Yes, he can track back. But sometimes with certain fullbacks, if they've got his game, if they know his game, they've just got to stand him up. And they've been wise to that. They need to be able to think about something else on the pitch, and they won't be able to afford to double up on Saka if players like Gyökeres are around, just trying to whip in and sniff a goal around the box.
Yeah, and they might be bringing other players in as well. You know, we don't know who's going to be playing out on the left as well. You know, different things to think about. You know, especially if, you know, we may talk about him later, but, you know, especially if they bring like an Eze in. And Arteta decides to play like a little bit different way on that left-hand side. And as he comes in on that left-hand side, which he has done for England, he has done for Palace, maybe he's that player will go out there. He's going to give, you know, defensive things to think about. They're going to be worrying about Eze. what he's doing over there. They're going to be worrying about Saka, what he's doing over there. They're certainly going to be worried about Gyökeres, what he's doing down the middle. There's going to be so many different options that Arsenal are going to be able to go at teams next season. They're going to have Odegaard, coming from deep. You're going to have Rice coming from deep. It's quite if you're an Arsenal fan right now, it's quite exciting because that forward line at the start of next season could be pretty lethal and as I said, very, very exciting with more players who may be coming in.
Yeah, definitely. Another player who looks like he's on his way is Spain and Valencia defender Christian Mosquera. For £13 million as well.
Yeah,
that is absolutely outrageous. Because this kid's meant to be something special as well. The 21-year-old defender has been taking place since the initial offer of 14 million. Negotiations with Valencia over the 21-year-old defender have been taking place since the initial offer of 14 million, including bonuses, was rejected this month. It's understood an agreement has been struck for Arsenal to pay an initial 13 million plus 3.5 million pounds in bonuses. Steve, another defender, people will say, but with Tomiyasu being released this week, unfortunately, or last week, it was needed. Arsenal needed that extra body in defence. They needed a player who could essentially cover. It was covering Saliba, wasn't it? Was it covering Saliba?
Yeah. Yes, right on that right. No, it was the right hand side, wasn't it? Mainly because that's where he was brought in at first, wasn't he? Because we was looking at him as playing at right back quite a bit. But Tomiyasu was a versatile player, was he? We see him. Yeah. He could play all over the place for us, and Mosquera was pretty versatile as well. He can play in a number of positions across that back. But look, he's one for the future. He's not one for now. A lot of people saying, "Oh, now he's coming in. Kiyor's going." I can't see that. I can't see that happening because Kiyor, sort of proved himself. Last season that he can come in big football matches and be that replacement for Gabriel. I'm pretty sure Mosquera's on the other side was the replacement for Saliba or someone that would be looked upon as someone to come in on cup games and etc. But he can certainly do a job. He's very, very highly in Spain, and another player who just wanted Arsenal. But I think Arteta's looking that he wants two players in every position. You got like Ben White and Timber out on the right. You got Mosquera and Saliba. You got Gabriel and Kiyor, and then you got like Calafiori and Luis Skelly. So it don't look very good for Alexander Zinchenko at the minute. He's going to find it difficult to get any game time at all this season. So he might be one that is worth keeping an eye on in regards to moving on in this window. We'll have to wait and see. I've got no information on that as of yet. A few teams are interested in it, and that's all, but nothing really concrete in talks. But look, I've only seen highlights, mate. I don't know how much you've seen of him, but he looks like quite a special talent. He looks like someone who's who can do us, strengthen our squad, good for the future, and like you've already mentioned there, mate, a very good price, and yet again another really, really good bit of business, So be good for me to sort of checking up him, looking at him a bit more. But another really good signing.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Mosquera, but anyone that's spoken about him in a good light. He's very good with the ball on the floor. Very good defender. Very, very aggressive. Apparently, needs to work on his aerial ability. But coming to England, it definitely that won't be a worry. He will definitely work on that. He'll be thrown straight into it with that. But look, again, a decent bit of business for a very highly regarded young player. So look, I'm excited. Next up, Meduaki. I've been told. I think it is. There was quite a lot of disgruntled Arsenal fans, although a small section. of Arsenal, or the Arsenal fan base. They were very loud and embarrassing last week. A lot throwing their toys out the pram, sending a player abusive messages, and vandalising the murals down at Arsenal. What I find very strange, Steve, is the people that say don't blame the fans, and I don't understand. Like, no one put a spray paint can in your hand. No one asked you to go down there and put Arteta out all over the walls. But again, it's funny how the transfers don't get done and people are screaming Arteta out. The transfers get done and people are screaming great work, Berta. Like, it's a very strange situation.
Yeah.
I get people getting frustrated, which I didn't really get. I didn't understand why people were getting frustrated, especially when moves were being made. We've been spoken about a lot about the progression of the moves or the players that we're going for. But yeah, abuse is never the way to go.
No.
But I saw Rio Ferdinand put out a really good post about it, basically saying you should show some empathy for these young players that are potentially making a big move or a dream move to a club they'd like to go to. And there's a section of their fan base that are already writing them off and sending them abuse before they've even got there. It's just not on. It's just not on. Basically.
Yeah. No, it's not on. It's not on, mate. You've said what you said there, and you put it very well. Yeah, I don't get it, mate. I don't understand why people find it like that. They want to abuse players, and it's even more baffling when you hear people of our age and people that are quite well known on social media, just screaming and shouting and effing and blinding. It's just embarrassing, is it? I just don't know what they're doing. I'm coming away from football, but these. I mean, I think Rio said. I think it was quite a long post, wasn't it? I mean, he said that this man's got a family. He's got a mum, a dad, a sisters and brothers, probably a girlfriend. What's the matter with him? I mean, God forbid if anything happened to him. Do you know what I mean? We've just lost Diego Jota, part of the football family. I mean, what about the people who might have popped him during their time? Do you know how do they feel now? Just leave it, just stop it. And it's yeah. I don't get their hate anyway. I don't understand. I'm sure it's just for their socials and their Twitter accounts. I'm positive of that because I don't know why you would want to come on and basically embarrass yourself to the intelligent football world, but I suppose they get paid for it and that's why they do it. I don't know, or do they generally think it? I really don't know. I can't get my head around it. But regards to the player, I think it's a good signing. I think I think it's a sensible signing, Kears. I think it makes all the sense in the world. And I haven't heard from one Arsenal fan who disagrees, who's had that pop with Eberechi, or however you pronounce it, make one bit of sense or reason, to say, right, this is why we don't want him. It seems to be that, well, he costs 53 million or it's 50 million. I mean, is it your money? Do you know how that first payment's being structured? Do you know how
it's the people that say,
have you got a clue? Do you know?
Oh, it's going to impact our other signings. I said, are you working in finance? Do you know how much they've got to spend? Oh, well, if it's 200 million, who said it was 200 million? No, where have you pulled these figures from? And that's what I don't understand.
No, I don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. We've been crying out, and there's not a small way of putting it. We're Arsenal fans, myself, you. We've all been crying out for someone to come in and help Bukayo Saka out. We've
100%.
moaned about it. We've moaned about him getting kicked. We've moaned about him getting flogged to death. Yeah. People, I guarantee you, the people who who have been saying, "Oh, why are we playing Ethan Nwaneri? We're having to play him white. We bought someone." Da, 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 da. Well, they do. They go and buy a 23-year-old England international. Who, I mean, I'm not a stat man, and I haven't seen him enough to say in my eye. I've seen enough. What I have seen, I liked.
Yeah.
But I don't. He ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
So where is it coming from? I love to see people out. If you're watching the Twitter tonight, if you're watching on YouTube, anybody that come and give me a proper reason. Why this kid doesn't fit into Arsenal. He's not going to start. He's not going to come in and start. That you surely you must have a decent football knowledge to know that he's not going to be a starter from into the 111. So I don't see the problem in it. I mean, it's Chelsea. Well, we've got another one from Chelsea. Well, good. Hopefully it turns out like Everton Junior have been successes. I don't know, mate. Yeah, I think it's good. I like him. From what I've seen, I like him. From what I'm listening to, like people that in my circle or people that I trust who I take notice of, they all say, yeah, good. This is a good signing. He's a decent player. People who I know that are Chelsea fans, colleagues and that. Yeah, he's decent. He's decent. That. So I don't get it, and I've not heard one. The one sort of thing that stands up to give me a good reason why we shouldn't sign him.
Yeah, same here. No, first of all, it was the Chelsea reject, and it was the he's not good. Yeah. Then once you got past the Chelsea fans that were like, ha ha ha, you're buying another reject, which, Maresca has clarified he ain't no reject. He didn't. Yeah. He has asked to leave. He wanted to leave. Chelsea wanted to keep him. Chelsea didn't want to sell him. It wasn't a case of they wanted to sell Madueke. That wasn't the case. So you can rubbish. You can shut that one down. So you got past the Chelsea fans that were initially just doing the standard. Oh, you're buying another reject. Ha ha ha. Blah blah blah. Then you got the Arsenal fans that said that. Then once you got past that, then you was hearing people say, "Oh, well, I haven't got a problem with the player. It's the price." Well, we know now that the price, the first instalment, is next to nothing, because all Chelsea need is the big amount at the bottom of their books, so they can go, "This is the amount we're going to get in." The first instalment, you ain't got to worry about. It's not going to impact our signings anyway.
Yeah, they Chelsea look at things over years. Some clubs, will think, right, okay, look, we want the money now. We need the money now. Chelsea don't need the money now. Chelsea are caked. They can go and buy the way they've worked their transfer structure out, the way they've worked their books. Okay, look, we don't like it, but they've worked it out brilliantly at the moment. They found the loopholes and they can buy what they want. They put players on 5 years contracts because in years to come, it works for them. And this is the same with something like this. They're not bothered that it's a low first fee and it's structured over 4 years. This deal. Yeah, it's just what they're used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good signing for Arsenal. I think that, like you said before, we've been screaming for a competition, backup, whatever you want to call it, to Saka. As you said, you can't play 40 or 50 games in a season, especially if you want to get the best out of Bukayo Saka. You're not going to be able to get that amount of games in it. Now that he's had an injury, he's had surgery, you have to look after him. You have to look after him and talk. Like, what surprises me is the people that will say that they want Victor Gyökeres because he's the here and now, and that's why you don't want Šeško. But then in the next breath, you'll tell me that Ethan Nwaneri is Saka's backup. It's like, is he? I don't see it that way, because did Ethan Nwaneri play well last season? Yes. Ethan Nwaneri, can Ethan Nwaneri, be scrutinised the same way that you can pick apart, say, a Martinelli's game or an Erdegaard's game? No, you can't, because he's still developing. Yeah. Because he's just turned 18. He's a kid. You can't rip him to shreds the same way you can do another player, because they're not they're not there yet. He ain't there yet. He's still got parts of his game he's got to learn. Now, if you're talking about the here and now, why are you saying that Ethan Nwaneri is the backup to Saka? He's not the here and now. He will have peaks and troughs in his development. He will have good games and bad games. And if you're trying to win the Premier League, can you really afford for that to be the player that you're sort of trying to hang your hat on? You can't. And I don't think it's fair on Ethan Nwaneri to put that kind of pressure on him either. It's not.
Yeah.
When you're talking about Mikel Arteta has to win a Premier League or has to win a Champions League, Nwaneri ain't the guy that's going to make sure that you do that. You can't put that pressure on Nwaneri. He is an option, 100%. And the fact that we have other options and Nwaneri, we're even stronger.
Yeah.
Nwaneri as the backup to Saka is a silly idea.
Yeah.
If we didn't learn that last year, then you're never going to learn.
Yeah. But he did like last year. I think Arteta learned from last year. I think last year we've already said, did Ethan then where he do well? Yes, he did. You know, especially when like Saka was out and Odegaard out, and you know, round about that time, and he was playing a lot of football in those positions. You know, sort of alternating from AM centre to right wing, and he did a job for us, and we was like, thank you, brilliant for what we needed last season to sort of, you know, solidate that second position and to end the season with a little bit of a okay. You know, it was well behind Liverpool, but we finished second, and Ethan Nwaneri, even at 17, played a massive part of that, and he should be packed in the back, and he should be applauded. Yes. But he's not Saka's backup. He's not Odegaard's backup. Hence why Madiaki's come in, and hence why I believe Arteta's looking also for an AM centre, an extra AM centre to sort of play that middle role, if needed, to be another sort of body, if you know, to give Martin Odegaard some rest every now and then. So
it's needed. We've got on to that in a second. On Gary, story that you broke about a month ago that Ethan Nwaneri's deal. He looks like he's going to sign, as well as Mark Scallion. And the other day it came out that Ethan Nwaneri's deal is advanced, and he will sign for Arsenal long term. Good news. I know there was talk of the assurances that the agent asked for, but I'm sure that was a bit blown out of proportion. As I said,
it was.
As I said last week. Not a criticism of Fabrizio Romano, but I've noticed recently a few of his tweets have been a bit, I don't know, not loaded is probably a strong word, but I feel
it's not a strong word at all, mate.
They've been set up in a way to make it seem like something else could happen or imply something else could happen, when there's really not really much there. Like the talk of Ethan Nwaneri at the same time as mentioning Chelsea and the Madueke deal. It made it sound like Arsenal were willing to do a swap deal, or there was a swap deal. And there was another one the other day which was done in a very similar way. But Arsenal fans need not worry. Ethan Nwaneri will be staying long term, and more good news for Arsenal and Andrea Better again. And obviously, Mikel Arteta is the one that's going to be laying out the roadmap for him, which is good news, great news for Arsenal.
Great news, mate. Great news. There was never any doubt. Like you said, they're blown right out of proportion. I think the words you used last week was a little bit naughty. It was a little bit naughty because as soon as I see that, you know, he wasn't sure, you know, contract stalling, I was like, nah, this is naughty. And immediately I made a phone call. Immediately I just was told that, you know, there's nothing changed. It's absolute nonsense, right? Just this is just, you know, to sort of attract more attention. I mean, you would have thought he'd have enough, wouldn't you? Attention, but you know, bless him. Fabrizio is the top man, but Yeah, he does love his attention, his comments, his likes. Since why he probably does about 10 tweets about the same thing every day. But yeah, we all have our way of doing things, and yeah, who's to say the way he does things is wrong? But that was a little bit naughty, and I think literally hours after, I wrote an article and got it out immediately. So just to say this is just blown out of proportion. This is not true, and there's been no change, and it's just a matter of, you know, it being announced. So a lot of people said, "Oh, Fabrizio said this, he said that," but yeah, and I think a day and a half after that, Fabrizio done another post saying it was yeah, everything's fine and everything's rosy in the garden, which I thought, yeah, of course it is, mate. But you could have, I thought you could have said that right at the beginning when it all went off with Mediaki. But there you go. It's a great bit of news. As I say, there was never any Arsenal supporters got a little bit nervous about it, but yeah, me personally was always calm. You know, I knew that he was going to sign, and yeah, look, I mean, it could be any time. It's just a matter of if it being announced. And yeah, I mean, I did put in the article that there is a slight possibility that he could go out on loan, but that would all depend on who and where and what team wants to take him, and stipulations that, you know, Mikel Arteta would make towards the club who would want him throughout the season.
Making sure that he plays.
Yes, yeah, definitely, mate. So all things like that, because he's not going to get as much game as he did last season. That's plain to see. But definitely a superstar of the future, mate. We see enough of him last season to, you know, be impressed, didn't we? You know, some of the in Champions League games, big games against Manchester United and others. So yeah, it's one that was never in any doubt. And yeah, and he'll be signing a 5-year contract on, and for a young man, a very nice wage packet. So, but good luck to him. Good luck to him. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and yeah. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know what you think. Be interested to see what you think. But I've sat there like during breaks and of not doing nothing, and which ain't been much lately. But I thought about whether I'd like him to go out on loan or not. I think it would depend on, say, who it is and making sure he plays, because there'd be no use in going to somewhere and sitting on the bench. But yeah, if he can go somewhere on loan, would I mind it? I go back and forth, mate. I'm going to put it over to you, Nat, to see what you think. But
yeah, I thought about it as well. And Joe, I'd probably do a post on it, just asking if he was to go out alone, where would people's preference be?
Yes,
because I think that's important as well. It's a tough one. It's a very, very tough one. Do you want him to get Premier League experience, Championship experience? Like, you want him to make sure he plays, but then again, it's got to be, the club has got to be the right style of play. They've got to have him at the forefront of their plans for the season. Like, he's got to be a main player. You want him to get around about 30 games in the season, all comps minimum, so it keeps in line with what he had this season, so he can keep up that trajectory. I would send him out on loan if Arsenal were to get in Eze. Yeah, I think I would. I think it would do him some good. I think we've had really good experiences from sending out our youngsters on loan, whether it's Jack Grealish, Alex Song, even some of the players which we haven't even kept, like, is it Bilic, who went on loan to Birmingham, and he's with Birmingham now. He's like one of their club legends now. I think I'd send him out on loan because I think it would do him some good. I think it's a different environment. He gets games, and I think once a club that's the right club, once they see him, I think they're going to want to play him week in, week out. And I think he does need, maybe not necessarily 37 games. I think he needs to start playing 90 minutes now. So it might even be less games, but he's getting more minutes, if you know what I mean. Because last season it was like from the start of the season, it was a lot of like 20 minutes at the start, 20 minutes
Yeah.
at the end. Sorry, 20 minutes at the start of the season, like 20 minutes. And then when Saka got injured, it was like 70 minutes, 80. It was rarely like a 90-minute game. And I think we need to start getting those 90 minutes in, and just managing well for the season. But it's a tough one. Like when you're sending out a player on loan, it's a lot of trust on the club manager you send them to. I think it would do him some good.
Yeah, it's hard for the club manager to sort of say, yeah, we play him every game, because I don't suppose if I'm the manager and Arteta says, look, I need you to play him so-and-so % of games, it's difficult for the manager to say, oh, all right, because you don't know how that manager's season's going to turn out, do you? But yeah, it's a difficult one, mate. It's a difficult. I'm sure he'll do the right thing. I'm sure Arteta will do the right thing. But from the way transfer window's going, I mean, don't be surprised if he does go out on loan. Especially if certain other players come in, like you said.
Yeah, I agree. Another player that could potentially be coming in. We just spoke about him there. In Eze, I know you've recently done an article, Steve, on that.
Yeah.
I think it's the one you've done recently.
Yeah.
What's the latest you've got on that story?
Yeah, the latest I've got, sort of summing it up without going through everything, is that he's next. He's the one they'll be moving on to. Mascara's tied up, Zubimendi's tied up, Norgos Kepa's tied up, Gyökeres is more or less tied up. That's agreed all over the place. It's just a matter of medicals and announcements. And today I was told that the next one they're moving on to will be Eze. And that wasn't from the source that sometimes I mention on here. It wasn't from him, but it was from a very, very reliable source who's always spot on regarding Arsenal news. I've never known him to tell me something that's wrong. And he told me today that Eze's on the rate, he will be the next one they'll be trying to bring in. So if he's wrong, this guy that's told me this, it'll be a first time he's ever told me something that won't happen. But there's negotiations and obviously they've got to agree fees and blah, 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 blah. That's all got to go ahead. So I'm not saying it's rubber stamped, but yeah, my information is, it's obviously very advanced regarding the player side. So advanced that literally more or less everything's done. And as he's put his thumbs up to wanting to come. So yeah. And, Arsenal have already had a conversation with Palace. They've started talks and this week talks will continue and they're expected to advance. There'll be talks over obviously the release clause and there'll be talks about how to pay that release clause off. I've heard that Arsenal would be willing to offer a player plus cash, which makes a lot of sense to me. It makes a lot of sense to me. But
that player could potentially be Nwaneri.
It could be Nwaneri. I'm told they want Trossard.
What? No way.
But yeah, which again, when I was told, I was like, no. And then I put my tactical stat head on and my manager's head, and I'm thinking in Oliver Glasner's brain, and I'm thinking Trossard for it. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, maybe I can see why they would want to bring in someone like that to sort of score more goals. In Nketiah hasn't really hit it off there, is he? Yeah, but there's Arsenal got players that they could offer, with Vieira, Zinchenko, Reece Nelson is another one. So Arsenal are willing to do that, and from my information is that Palace would be, willing to accept a deal like that, depending on the player, which is fair enough, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? But as I said, I think talks will heighten and get really advanced as we go further into the week. So, yeah, Eze's next. My information tells me, people that are telling me that Eze's next. So, again, one I'm excited by, one that I think that you've mentioned that you're excited by. And it seems to me that Arteta's trying to get 2 players in every position, like Havertz, Gyökeres. Havertz just being that player who's versatile, can play everywhere anyway. At 8, a 10, a 9, he can go out wide. He's just Mr. Versatility, isn't he? They're looking at Madueke and Saka on one side. I think they're also looking at possibly Martinelli, Eze on that left-hand side, and also Eze sort of maybe even playing in Odegaard's positions at times throughout the season, Champions League, Cup games, League games. Just a squad where if you're ever sort of starting, you're like, oh, I'm fine with that. And I think that's what Arteta wants to bring. Because I think last year we went down with injuries, and when players like Odegaard was out and Saka was out, we never really had that like for like to bring in to replace them or can do the things that they can do. But you bring in someone like Madueke and you bring in someone like Eze, you fix that immediately. And I think that's what Arteta wants. He's next, and we'll wait to see, how it pans out. But
what do you think that Arteta's looking for with bringing in an Eze type player who's essentially a lot different to a Martin Odegaard?
Yeah, I think he plays in that centre, doesn't he? He can play in the middle, that centre position. I think Arteta's looking for just players who can play in a number of different places. I think the main thing that we're looking for is Arteta's looking for is a player who can play on the left, who can play on that left-hand side, because Arsenal are very right-sided, aren't we? We're like that. Everything seems to go down. It's like an hill. Everything's down that side. You know what I mean? I think Arteta wants to strengthen that other side. He needs that strength, and I think that's why we've been in for Eze, because he's prominently left middle. But if he's not playing in the middle, he's more over to that left, which gives Martinelli something more, because Odegaard's more right sort of sided, isn't he? He plays in the middle, but he plays right. Eze can play in the middle, but he can play left. But I think mainly he wants to strengthen that left hand side. So I think to balance it up, to balance our strength up when we're going forward, because I think teams just expect Arsenal was right. There's the right side. That's the strongest side. We'll 80% concentrate on trying to cut that out. So I think Arteta's trying to level it up, making the left side as strong. And I think bringing in someone like Eze does that. But the Rodrigo thing, the fact that I've heard this about Eze, because I don't think we'll bring in both. So the fact that Eze's going to sort of start advancing even more this week, I think maybe Rodrigo maybe have decided to stay at Real Madrid. We'll see. But that's what I think. I think we need that. Martinelli on his own is not enough on that left. He needs help. He needs some kind of competition, because he hasn't really had any. Trossard comes in, but he's not really competition, is he? Trossard, he's competition for the competition. And if Trossard was starting, there'd be someone else, you would want strengthen him. So I think Eze's going to come in. I think he's looking at him on that left.
Yeah, I like the Eze links. I think he adds that. Again, it's very different to that prim and proper type player that you've got in an Odegaard, who's like a little bit of a perfectionist with his technique and the moves that he makes. Where although Eze's got excellent technique, he's more direct. He's someone who's looking for the quickest line to goal. Very good dribbler, excellent shot on him. But what I like about Eze as well is he gets off I think on average about 3 shots a game. Puts on average about 1 shot on target a game. Progressive runs is very good. Like all these things are really, really good. And I think when we're talking about those games when it's like the 70th, 80th minute and you're scrapping for a goal, you've got a Gyökeres there who's scrappy and won't let off for 1 second because he wants that goal, or you've got an Eze that wants to pick up the ball, unlock defenses, or try and get a shot off on goal. That's what we're missing. Like it's I say about wingers. Sometimes a winger doesn't necessarily have to get the better of a fullback. Sometimes a winger just needs to keep the pressure on, just needs to keep on going and going and going and going. And that's why that people like Saka, who I like to just keep on, like a couple of seasons ago, Saka he would to try and take on the fullback. If he didn't get better than the fullback, it felt like the majority of the rest of the game, Saka's going to go inwards and try and whip it in, get a ball in early that way. Now, especially from last season, before he was injured, you were seeing him just keep on going. Yeah. Take on the defender, didn't get the better of him. I'm going to go again. Because you could that might just be a one. It might only just take that one time that you get past them. That you're now in their head, and they're thinking, what's he going to do now? They're second guessing themselves. Like you've got to be relentless. That's what Nwaneri is going to bring for us. That's what I think Eze. That's what I think Gyökeres will bring to Arsenal as well.
It's so different, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, it's something different.
It's different. It's different from Martinelli. Martinelli's very sort of like pace.
Yeah.
But if you feel that you've got Eze out on that left hand side, although he's not a winger of such, you know, he gives you that sort of like confidence that he can do a lot more. He gives you that confidence that he can cut in, and he's got a better shot than Martinelli.
Yeah,
you know, he will give you the confidence that his final ball's going to be a little bit better than Martinelli's. And he always, when I see Eze play and he gets the ball, I always not sure what he's going to do. Do you know what I mean? He's got like, what are you going to do? Sometimes you think like, oh, this player's going to go there, that player's going to go there, or he's going to go there. With Eze, he's like got that extra level and that extra thing to do. Yeah, I mean, if you got like Eze on one wing, and you got Gyökeres who's down the middle and Saka on the right with Odegaard and Rice behind, I mean Jesus,
yeah,
that's that. And then you got Zubimendi, and you know, sort of clearing out, and then you got Sleeper and Gabriel behind with Lewis Skelly. Well, that's an exciting team. That's a very good team. But yeah, I think I can see why Arteta has said, like at the beginning of the window, that, or it was the beginning that, or we heard. I think don't think it was Arteta. It was from other journalists that, you know, the left hand side was nearly as important as the striker. I think it was Ornstein that said it, but I think his wording was, it's not as important, but it's not far off being as important. So from that, we obviously take from that, you know, he probably wants more than Martinelli, someone who can just do things a little bit differently. So than just run with the ball. And one thing as well is that we always like with Martinelli. Martinelli's always been good defensively. Well, Eze's very good defensively as well. Because I've seen like his thing on transfer market. He's sometimes like in the left back position a lot.
Yeah, it works for the team.
Works hard for the team. So that's another reason why you think that's a tick in the box for Eze. Why Arteta would want to bring him in. But yeah, mate, look, you know, exciting times. I don't know obviously what that means for players like Trossard, who's still trying to sort out his contracts. Jesus, yeah, I mean, it's far to see what part he's going to play. But yeah, from my information, Eze's next, so we'll have to find out what happens.
Obviously the interest or the talk of Rodrigo is cooled off quite a bit. What was the stance on that one then?
Well, they've Arsenal. My information was that they was waiting for Rodrigo to decide whether he wants to leave Real Madrid or not. Mm-hmm. I think if he said he would leave, there's no guarantee that he would have come to Arsenal, even if he said, okay, I want to look for somewhere else. We're seeing that Diaz is, looks like, maybe leaving for Bayern Munich. So you've got to think that Liverpool would be in for him as well. So there may be a battle. He wants one thing, bringing Rodrigo in, it would mean his wages would be very high, up there with like Kai Havertz type wages, so that's obviously something for him to think about. It seems to be cooling. The Eze news that I've got today tells me that must be cooling, because I can't see the two, Arsenal bringing both in. I mean, if they do, then wow. But because I suppose theoretically you could have Eze could be the backup Odegaard and Rodrigo could be the Martinelli one. But yeah, I mean, if that is that,
I think I'd have a heart attack. I think my knees would go to jelly if on the last few days of the window that Rodrigo news started coming in after potentially we sold like maybe a Trossard to Bayern Munich. I think it'd be smart. Sell Trossard to Bayern Munich, which will stop Liverpool selling Diaz, which means they definitely can't get Rodrigo, and then bringing in Rodrigo. I mean, you can't be any more serious than that about winning stuff if you're bringing in Eze, Rodrigo, and Madueke, Zubimendi, Mosquera, all in one window. In one window. That would be absolutely phenomenal. So we will see. We will see.
We will see.
Just on other news, we saw possibly one of the weirdest situations we have done in a while in football. When Donald Trump took to the stage for Chelsea's World Club Cup final trophy lift. Cole Palmer was asking, what's he doing? Reece James asked him if he was leaving the stage, to which Donald Trump completely ignored him. And then, all the pictures are with Donald Trump. Steve, what was your take on it? It was a bit of a strange one. It's not usually the practice for the person that hands over the trophy to stay on stage. I think even the FIFA president was trying to usher Donald Trump off the stage at one point, and once again he ignored it. What was your take on it?
I mean, I only see it the following day. Do you know what I mean? I never see it at the time when they lifted the trophy. I never see it then. But yeah, when I see it, I thought it was quite funny. I must admit, I laughed. Do you know what I mean? And I think it was someone said that I said, "Oh yeah, what's he doing? What's he like?" and all that. I got sort of like, yeah, he probably wanted a bit of the limelight and all that. He wanted to get involved, didn't he? He wanted his picture taken. But yeah, I couldn't help but laughing, to be honest with you. I thought it was quite funny. It is very, very unusual. And yeah, the Chelsea players, look very confused, to say the least. But yeah, I'm sure he won't be doing it, at the World Cup next year if they win it. Well,
I don't know. I don't know. Seeing what Donald Trump's like, he probably will be.
Yeah. I'm no fan of Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong, but no fan at all of him. He's a bit of a strange individual and says some strange, weird things and things I don't agree with most of the time, all of the time actually. But I did find that quite amusing.
What was your? Did you watch the final? Did you watch any of the Club World Cup?
No, I had bits. Yeah, I mean, probably 10%. I had it on in the background at times. I had the final on background, but really wasn't paying much attention to it. Probably paid attention more to that game than the other game. So I'm trying to think if I actually, it's probably the only game I probably watched sort of like maybe 50% of. I didn't have no interest in it at all.
No, same here. Is it a competition you think will take off eventually, or do you think it will be a little bit like the previous Club World Cup or Club whatever it was trophy before?
I mean, football's all about money these days, isn't it?
Yeah. So, it's a lot of money.
I can't see it going away. So generally, when things, one after another. I mean, clubs that will hear how much Chelsea earned, while the time they was out there, might think, maybe we should go in it. But apart from the money, I don't think teams are really gonna be that bothered in it. I mean, Chelsea are the world champions, but I'm sure it's enjoyable for Chelsea fans, and they enjoyed watching their games like as pre-seasons ones. But I mean, does it mean anything? Does it mean anything to me? I dare say if they get over like 10 years, it'll like anything else, like when they changed the Champions League to what it was before, last year when they changed it again. It took a bit of time to get used to. Same with other competitions. So, but I mean, as we sit, I mean, I haven't got no interest in it. If Arsenal was in it next year, will I be interested? I'll probably be interested in it a little bit more because it's, maybe I'd want to see new signings and stuff. But I don't think I'd like the idea that the extending season and players, because it must take a toll on the players. It must do, surely.
Yeah.
But I mean, as I said, I didn't take too much notice of it, and the Man City just didn't look that bothered when they got knocked out today.
No, not at all. On other transfer news, we saw the saga of Morgan Gibbs White.
Still going, isn't it?
Yeah, looking like Tottenham had placed a £60 million bid for the Nottingham Forest midfielder, but Nottingham Forest have complained to the Premier League and the sport of arbitration, and then essentially said that the Morgan Gibbs White release clause should have been secret, and the fact that Tottenham have hit the nail on the head straight away, they must have been told about it. Steve, what's your thoughts on this one? Just do you think it's fair for Nottingham Forest to do this, or do you think it's just they're whinging, it's a bit sore?
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both, mate. I mean, people in the industry, that we all knew what the release clause was.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone know. I mean, the fact that they're saying like Tottenham, found out. I mean, it was pretty well known. Would have thought, unless we got it wrong. What the release clause was. So, I mean, initially I thought it was that the Tottenham were tapping up the player. I thought that was the problem, but obviously something a little bit different. But I haven't been following this transfer. But is it? Look, I mean, the bloke wants to go. I suppose they want to get if there's a release clause, then what is it? I don't understand. What does it matter if you've got a release clause, a set release clause for the player? What if the Tottenham find out about the release clause? What's the what advantage are they had? I don't understand it. They what?
If Tottenham
not Forest going to lie. Not Forest going to lie to them or
Tottenham
something.
Found out about the release clause, then it's because Morgan Gibbs White wanted them to know about the release clause. Like,
it's not their it is their business. It's their business. It is their business. But in a sense, it's his move. It's his release clause. It's in his contract. Do you know what I mean? The player's contract. It's not in like the thing is contract. This contract, when you put a release clause into a contract, this is 90% for the player.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you could say, well, it's to do with the club as well. Well, it does, but nothing's going to change if someone breaks that release clause. So if it's set in his contract, for argument's sake, 70 million, and it's set in that, and it's written, and Tottenham come in and found out that it's 70 million, and they come in and go, well, we want to. I don't get it. That make sense?
Mm.
Does it? Am I missing something? I think it's like, yeah.
No, I think Nottingham Forest, they wanted to keep it secret, and they wanted they obviously want more money. So if Tottenham come in and offer 65 mil, then the release clause is activated, but Nottingham Forest still get 65 mil. So I think they wanted to play around with potentially how much Tottenham were going to have to pay. But look,
I've never known that clubs know, they know, didn't they? When clubs go into negotiations, Arsenal, it's like Eze's got a release clause, yeah? Arsenal know what the release clause is. They ain't going to go to Crystal Palace and they're going to tell them. Release clauses are 99% known.
Yeah.
So,
but clubs would rather you try and strike a deal, because I don't know if it's the same in England as it is in Spain, but in Spain, when you hit the release clause, it goes through the league. So
yeah, it does. Yeah.
So it takes it away.
It's law, isn't
it? I'm guessing the league will take a little bit of percentage of that as well. Whereas if it goes through the club, then it's the club are getting the money, and it's a bit more of a relationship thing. It's a bit more. We've had a talk. You're not just taking the player. It's not just like you just pulled the rug from under our feet. It's like we've had a conversation. Let's see if we can strike a deal, as opposed to just going for the release clause. Like, I don't.
But then how would the player feel about that? You know, if the two clubs are Southie's release clause is 65, and like then Nottingham Forest are trying to get 75 or 80 for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm the player, I'm going, what are you doing?
You just pay 60. I can't release clause. Yeah. And the thing is, you don't try and hit someone's release clause unless you've had a word to say, would you come to my club? So there's no point in doing the release clause unless you know the player would want to join you anyway. And at that point, that's when you would find out about the release clause. Not in the Forest. It's sour grapes in my eyes.
I think so. It should be more like the Spanish and the Portuguese league. We all know it's known. You know
the release clause. You put it in there for a reason, so it doesn't stop the player from moving to a club who are in a better position than you. You still get them a good value for the player, more than what you probably expected. Everyone's happy. Like,
when is it? Of all the players in the Premier League, for argument's sake, that have got release clauses, and there's conversations going on about it, yeah. Have you ever heard of one that you don't know before, that we don't know about?
No.
What's it? So-and-so's got a release clause. Oh, let's hold on a minute. Let's have a little let's play a guessing game. I wonder what it is. Have we ever had a conversation on the show? Is so-and-so's got a release clause? Yeah, I wonder what it is. Oh, well, gosh. It don't add up.
Jack Grealish is going to do the release clause, because Aston Villa said you ain't going unless you pay the release clause, 100 million. That's how much you had to pay for him.
Because that was his release clause, and we all knew that.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's sour grapes. We've seen Nottingham Forest over the last couple of years show themselves in a different light to what they maybe would have done previously.
Yeah, they do like a dodgy dealing, don't they?
They do. We've seen the back and forth between clubs with some players. We've seen 3 players coming from Botafogo for £30 million. Which is
how many players did they buy that transfer window? About 20, weren't it?
Yeah, loads. Loads. I don't know where they've all gone. But sour grapes. But I'm sure they get over it when.
Yeah, good signing for Tottenham though. Good signing.
Kudus and Gibbs White, 2 good signings for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as we spoke about Kudus last week, he's someone who I wouldn't probably want for my team, but he's someone who I enjoy watching him. I mean, as you know, I watch a lot of West Ham, and when I've watched him, he's someone who, like, you think, yeah, give him the ball because he'll give you that enjoyment for 90 minutes because you know he's capable of coming out with something or doing something a little bit out of the ordinary. So like a little bit of a maverick, but his attitude is he's a little bit, you know, not too good to be desired, and he's not my type of player for that. And sometimes he goes missing, and he needs. But yeah, if Tottenham can get, you know, him sort of playing on more regularly and doing his stuff that he's more than capable of, then he'll be a good signing. And Morgan Gibbs-White as well would also be another good sign. It's quite a shock, really, when especially Morgan Gibbs-White. But and this is the problem. Although Man United have got a couple of decent players, it looks like, you know, this is when you get in that Champions League, you know, even a club who are in dire straits like Tottenham can get decent players.
Yeah,
like Kudus, and that's why it was so important for someone to win that. It was massive. So Man United are sort of living off their name because of how big they are, and they get signings off of that. But and they could have done even more by winning that winning that next to Champions League place. But yeah, I'm sure they wouldn't have gone there to Tottenham if they didn't win that, and they was playing in the no European football next season. They probably wouldn't have gone there.
Yeah, no, I don't think they would have gone there either. And also, you've seen the difference in the profile of player that Tottenham were allowed to able to invest in now that they're in the Champions League. The same Tottenham team who they said last season weren't good enough to be in the Champions League. We're not ready to be in the Champions League. You've got the same team as you did the previous season, except for a couple of like Bergwell or other players like that who are like how much difference they make to your team, really. Although they are pretty good players.
Yeah.
But now you're able to bring in the likes of a Kudus, or you're allowed to bring in, you've got to bring the likes of a Morgan Gibbs-White. No way you're bringing them in if you was playing, or you had no Europe at all, if you was even playing in the Europa League again. Plus, when we talk about those sorts of players, the wages will make a difference, and being in the Champions League makes that difference in being able to pay those wages.
This is why I didn't understand some Man United fans who said they didn't want to be in the Champions League because they get beat.
Honestly, I don't understand that mentality. It's Joe. I do feel like a lot of the modern football fans, their decisions and their emotions ride off the back of what potentially other fans will think, the perception from rival fans, like how much they're going to be dug out, how much they're going to get ripped to shreds from rival fans if this so-and-so happens. Why would you not want your team to be in the Champions League? The progression you make by being in the Champions League each year in, year out, by staying in that competition means you can pay the wages, means you can bring in better players. Dropping out of the Champions League doesn't mean you're going to get back into it because you can focus on get on the league to get in the top four. Like it's such a dumb argument. And even the teams I see that aren't in Europe and still don't get back into the Champions League because they're focusing on the league. How are people not learning? It's not a foregone conclusion that because you've just got the league games, you're going to get Champions League football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when the last time Man United wasn't in Europe. I don't know. I can't remember.
It's going to hurt them.
But when the season kicks off and you're having and you're watching all these teams playing in Champions League, Europa League, even Conference League, and you're just sitting at home, just watching other teams play for like 10 months. Well, not 10 months, but 8 months of the year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's all like getting it. It'll hurt. It hurt me anyway. With Arsenal, it was just horrible for, you know, yeah. I mean,
we had it for a season, didn't we? Was it one season we had no European football? And I'll tell you now, it was the worst season to be involved in. Honestly, it weren't fun.
I don't like it when we get knocked out of the cup.
It was one game a week, yeah. And if you got knocked out the cup, like that's you don't get look forward to them other games. You don't get to see the youngsters play. How do you expect to develop youngsters when you've got one game a week? You can't.
Yeah.
You don't
And
see
at the
those
end of the
fringe
day,
players when you've got one game a week.
100%. And at the end of the day, football's meant to be fun. It's meant to be an entertainment. You know, we all want to watch our teams play, don't we? We want to watch our teams play football.
Yeah.
You know, who cares if you get knocked out or if you get beat? Or do you know what I mean? That happens. Do you know what I mean? And the Champions League is, you know, it's 8 games. Do you know what I mean? You could be playing Real Madrid's or Barcelona's, and you know, creating so much money for the benefit of the club. And yeah, I don't know, mate, but it'll hurt. It'll hurt them next year.
Yeah,
you know,
it will. And on what you just said there in the Champions League, another thing that people like to say is there's no point in being in it if you're going to win it. Another poor take, usually from people that aren't in the Champions League. It's a dumb take because honestly, some of the best nights. Look, I know winning it will be the best night. Honestly, winning it will be the best night as an Arsenal fan. Yeah, especially those who have already seen Arsenal win the Premier League. However, some of those European nights have been some of the best nights I've watched Arsenal. Yeah. And I'm talking beating Barcelona 2-1, the Real Madrid double header. Like, I will never forget those games. Yeah. I will never forget where I was, what I was doing, how I celebrated the goals. Like, I will never forget that. And that's part of being a football fan. Yes, we want to win the big competition overall. But them games against like those great teams, those European nights, the music, that's all part of it. Don't forget about that as a football fan. Otherwise, you're just completely forgetting the journey. Because eventually, one day Arsenal will win that Champions League. And all those games, the Barcelonas, the Real Madrid games that we won, I remember those games as part of the journey before we won it. You've got to remember, it's not just about that winning the trophy. We all want to win the trophy, all right? We all want to win the trophy. But you can't football cannot just be about, I've won this, I've won that.
No.
Let them just sack their manager after winning the first trophy that they've won in over 25 years or 20-something years. Man United sacked their manager after winning 2 trophies in 3 years that he was at the club. So it clearly tells you it's not all about winning the trophy. All right?
No,
there's a bit of balance to it.
Yeah. It's
time to win one now, Mikel Arteta.
It's about the journey, isn't it? It's like each season's about, for me anyway, you know, people with individual opinions, but you know, the start of a season is about the journey. And at the end of it, I will tell people whether I enjoyed the journey or I didn't enjoy it, and analyze it then. But when you start in your journey and you're one of the favourites to win the Premier League and you're in the Champions League and you'll be one of the favourites to win that, it makes your enjoyment of football much better, and that's what it's all about. So
I like the prospect this year of Arsenal not being one of the favourites to win the league. There's a lot of talk about Liverpool, a lot of talk about Man City. Liverpool fans are talking a lot. Like a lot of Liverpool fans have written us off. Man City fans, to be fair, kept quite quiet, but there's a lot of Liverpool fans that have written us off, especially at the start of the transfer window when we signed Norgard and they were laughing. So it'd be interesting to see what they're talking about by the end of it. Yes, very, very interesting.
I mean, at the moment, it's like for me, it will be Arsenal, Man City, or Liverpool. One of them will win it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It'll be one of them. And at the moment, from looking at the 3 teams, I just think it's a toss of a coin. I couldn't tell you who's going to win it next year. You know, someone will be the favourite, someone will be the second favourite, someone will be the third favourite. But any of them can win it. Every one of them now, as we see it, is good enough to win that Premier League. But only one of them can win it. Only one. So 2 teams are going to be gutted. Do you know what I mean? Out of those 3 juggernauts that are starting the season, 2 of them are going to be disappointed at the end and not going to win it. So that's why I say it's about the journey. You've got to have a good journey throughout the season. You've got to enjoy it. Last season, as an Arsenal fan, it wasn't really enjoyable because we just never got going in the league. And even though we still finished second, it didn't feel the frustration was there.
The Champions League run that saved our season. That gave us a little bit of more enjoyment.
Yeah. That was
that excitement.
That made it different. That made it different. You know, we really enjoyed that. You know, because when we went into that, it was like a break from them games, and there was a lot of gaps between. So injuries probably didn't affect us as much as it did in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. But as you said, it's be a good one next year so far. I couldn't choose. If you asked for me to choose now, any one of them could win it. You know, in my eyes, there's no favourite. I don't think any team's really better than the other. I think if you look at, if there's any questions, I think, there's always questions. There's some questions with Liverpool. There'll be questions with Liverpool with Wirtz. There'll be questions with Man City about new players and, you know, can Foden do it this year? Can Haaland stay fit? You know, what they're going to be like Walker and De Bruyne has gone. You know, there's a lot of questions still to ask about City, but they've still got a lot of talent. You know, Liverpool will be there. They've obviously the questions about Wirtz. We'll see how he settles in and stuff. And Arsenal the same. Do you know what I mean? There'll be questions, but all three of them capable, very capable of winning it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they are. They are. All right, that is all we have time for today. Thank you for joining us tonight, Steve.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you.
And thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight. If you are watching on Twitter, press that like and press that retweet. It makes a massive difference. If you're watching on YouTube, press that like and subscribe if you are new to the show. And if you are a regular, press that like button. You can catch me on Kieran AFC on TikTok or the Transfer Exchange Show on TikTok as well. I'm going to try and upgrade the show and try and go live on TikTok at the same time as I do on Twitter and YouTube from next week. So there may be some technical difficulties, but hopefully we should be able to draw in quite a few people to watch the show if I can get that sorted.
Good. It sounds good.
Few changes to be made. Hopefully a couple of upgrades which will benefit everyone.
Nice.
All right. Thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight. Peace out, people. Stay safe. Do this every time and wash your hands.